So I try to kind of do a few vlogs about what I think my craziness is as it relates to attachment, and it all revolves around sort of expected emotion slash what I should be expected to feel versus how I actually feel versus socially acceptable feelings. Is this okay to feel this way? And I know that you should feel however you feel. My feelings are valid. Is it the type of thing where I bring it up to the person, or is it the type of thing that I talk to someone else about because they're low-key like crazy? Essentially, I know sometimes I have crazy ass thoughts, and I don't act on them now. You know, in high school we didn't really know this, but I don't act on them. But I'm still having the crazy ass thoughts. So what do I do with them? Because feeling wise, they're very real. But action wise, people might understand you are dealing with stuff. People might understand you have certain illnesses and disorders. But like, there's only so much they can take. And I know that to be true because I'm a person as well. And bitch, there's only so much that I can take. Essentially, the shortened version of the story is on Monday. I was riding around with two friends. I was driving. One friend was just kind of in the car hanging out, you know, managing, kind of, not really, just kind of chilling, you know, along for the ride. And the other friend was actually working. I was helping them deliver packages. Why they weren't using FedEx for work, I don't know. They're not like a mail carrier. They were delivering it as part of their job for something else. I don't know. That's besides the point. So after we were riding around, or after I drove my two friends around to do like the whole work crap stuff, we had all decided to go to lunch. And it was at that time I was coming out of this weird mood of mine that I had just kind of entered prior to us deciding to go to lunch, where I was all of a sudden extremely down. My mood just dropped out of nowhere, seemingly dropped out of nowhere. I was down, and then as we were walking to lunch, it then became irritated. I was ready to fight somebody. Not like really fight somebody. I was ready to be short with my answers. I was ready to be flippant. I was not ready for the party. But overall, you know, I couldn't really identify, like I kind of knew why this was, but I felt as though, as it turned in terms of socially acceptable attitudes, it was not socially acceptable because, you know, my two friends seemed to be decently okay. Like, we were all hungry. Their attitudes seemed to be fine. And I've had these moods before. You know, mostly this was a few years ago. It hasn't really happened in a while. But as an alternative, I just decided to go home. My excuse being that, you know, I have to go hang out with my puppy. I have to go walk the dog. The dog needs me. He's been inside like almost all day, which was not a lie. He was inside almost all day, and he most definitely would have been okay if I had gone to lunch and then came back. But, you know, I think I just needed the space and the time to decompress, slash I really didn't want to leave him at home like for that long of time because he had been at home all morning. I know I said I was going to condense this story, and so far it's not been condensed, so let me try to like speed it up. While we were delivering stuff, or like while we were doing my friend's job, the friend that was, you know, doing the job, the friend that I had issues with over the weekend, I felt personally that, you know, there were certain really small interactions that stuck in my head, in terms of the way they answered questions, in terms of the way they responded to me, in terms of like their facial expressions, like all of these very small nitpicky things that I felt were off. The energy was off, and I think that's what contributed to a lot of it. You know, I felt like something was off. So of course, if their energy was off, my energy was then therefore off, because I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, what's wrong with them? Are they upset at me? Are they mad at me? Are they like angry? Are they sad? Are they like mad and angry in general? Like, what's going on? It was just like 1,000 different questions, and I went down the rabbit hole in terms of like ruminating and overthinking, and just like could not stop myself. And it wasn't just like self-centered in the sense like, oh my gosh, this person is like mad at me, this person is feeling some type of way towards me. I mean, it definitely was the majority of that, but also this is one of my really good friends, and I, for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, that's weird to say, oh my god, I really do care about them in the sense that this is weird to say. I don't know. I think it's because it's feelings, and I don't like feeling attached to people because people leave. So like, I'm having a hard time saying this out loud. I genuinely care a lot about this person, and I think about them even when I'm not with them. And I'm like, I wonder how their day is going. I know they were stressed about this. I know they were stressed about that. Just certain things come up in my mind randomly throughout the day, even if I haven't talked to them even if I haven't seen them, I'm thinking about them and wondering how they're doing and sending them good vibes and good wishes, which is not something I do for everybody. So it's like I genuinely, if something was wrong, I didn't want to just know for my sake. It's like I want to figure out what's wrong so I can help them, because when there's something wrong with them, there's something wrong with me, because it makes me sad. And yeah, you get it. But examples of like the very small things that happened, interactions that happened, were that they wanted me to park in a certain place, and the way they said it, they'd be like, okay, or like something, the way they exaggerated words, their responses, if it was like short, if they like it, just, you can kind of tell, like, in text language, if someone just says K and then a period, we all know what the fuck that means. Like, it was kind of like that but spoken. But things that my other friend didn't notice, obviously, because if he did, he probably would have, no, he definitely would have said something. So that's why I was just like, okay, it must be like me. I must be internalizing this for some reason. I don't know why I'm internalizing it, but whatever. And that's where, like, this really gets me, in the sense that, like, while it didn't really bother me that I left, it bothered me that this is like a thing in my life. Like I said, this is not the first time I've done this. There's been plenty of times where I've either said no to outings, left things early. I've changed my presence somewhere because of the way I was feeling, because I felt as though, it was just too much. Like, something was either too much emotionally for me, I would be too much emotionally for someone else. And this time it was like, okay, me and my friend have been having these arguments about emotions and about me feeling some type of way. Like, I felt as though I'm nitpicking at every single thing that they do. And when I say nitpicking, is that, like, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, for whatever reason, I'm not normally this open, but I was like, I've been just super open about how I'm feeling about everything, which is not like me. Most times I like stuff it down and hide it and deal with it. But in terms of like, hey, I don't like when you say these things to me, or like, I don't like when you do these things on the phone, or when you say these certain phrases, or blah 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 blah. I just started expressing all of them, and it's something that I definitely stand behind in terms of it being a healthy thing to do, especially if you're really close to somebody, whether that's family or friends. If you like notice interactions between y'all two, and like it's something that's consistent. For example, in high school, I had sort of this same strange attachment to like then one of my best friends, as he would like never say, like he would never end a conversation. He would never say bye. Not a big deal. Like, I don't text people back. Like, when the conversation dies, it dies. But at that point in time in my life, I was having a real problem with like attachment and people leaving. My mom had passed away. My best friend my other best friend from like elementary school had passed away. Like, I was not okay with people just texting me, especially people as close to me as he was. I was not okay with him just texting me and then just like dropping off the face of the earth, which is like weird as fuck. In a sense, but like I was like, I need you to say bye, or I need you to end this conversation so that I know. That was an ask of me because I have these issues, but it was sort of like prefacing it like, hey, I'm dealing with these issues. I know that this is weird, but this would help me a whole bunch if you just do this little simple thing so that I can avoid, being angry or feeling some type of way. If they didn't do it, I would go down the rabbit tunnel or the rabbit hole or whatever the fuck it's called. I would start thinking like, are they mad at me? Do they hate me? Why don't they want to talk to me? I would go there to avoid all of that, and then possibly even avoid me getting audibly mad at them and then like yelling at them for not saying fucking bye in a text. That solved the entire solution. So imagine that times like 20. I've been doing this to the friend now, to my friend now. I've been doing this, and I've been saying all these different little things for them to do, different little things to say, and to accommodate me. So I felt as though like, okay, I have like been using that kind of rule or that logic, or I've been using that strategy a little bit too much, and I need to take a step back. And the only way I knew to take a step back was to like literally take a step back. I know, and I have no problem saying that some of the things I request are weird as fuck. Like, some things are just common courtesy. I think we've had a lot of talks between each other with that. But the majority of the things that we've talked about and the actions that I've asked them to take are requests by me because, like, I'm crazy. And I need, like, extra support when it comes to people who are close to me, especially people who are close to me these days, because I just suffered a whole bunch of losses. In December, my grandmother passed away. Like my best friend is MIA. Obviously, was very triggered there because I have issues with attachment and all that. So coming out of the winter, very triggered, very heightened to being left alone, being abandoned, all of that from childhood. Just like obviously my mental health's like the hairs on my back or whatever you would want to say, like, are up here. Like I'm very heightened and very perceptive to almost everything. But sometimes I like to talk about the way I'm feeling, even if it's not like I'll preface it by saying like, hey, I know this is batshit crazy, but this is how I feel right now. So just give me a second, because like I'm trying to process it and calm down. It can be like, I didn't like the way you said bye to me, or like you just said bye, period. You didn't say goodbye, and like that will legit make me feel as though I'm being abandoned, and it will pull on the same heartstrings as like when I felt when my mom wouldn't come back, like some nights as a kid, or like when I wouldn't see my mom for a year, or basically anything relating to my mom abandoning me or someone dying in my childhood. So it's like the action that they're doing is super small and the feeling is like super big, which is why it's such a weird dissonance. For whatever reason though, like as I was saying, the past few weeks has been extremely heightened for me in the sense that like I've been feeling this more and more every day, like not every little interaction, but a lot of the interactions I'm getting, I'm feeling as though there's something off coming from this person. Like I feel as though they're mad at me, or they're like they see me in a different way, and I'm not sure if it's because I've been more open about my illness and my symptoms and that's what I'm internalizing. I'm not sure if it's because we got into it over the weekend, and as a child I would never really express how angry I was or how sad or disappointed I was to my mom or anybody who like basically left. Never expressed my anger towards my dad. I never got to express those ill feelings towards the people who quote unquote basically abandoned. Not basically, they did. I never got to express those ill feelings to the people who abandoned me, because in my mind, they already don't want to be around me, or they're already leaving me. So if I just tell them how much of a shitty person they are, then like why would they stick around? Like that's another reason to go. Like if you already don't want to be around somebody, and then when you are around somebody and they're complaining about you, then like they're not going to stick around. So I think that this weekend it's kind of a freaking weird cycle in the sense that I got mad and I expressed that to them, and it was a huge thing. Like a huge thing, the biggest thing probably in our friendship since to date. However, I was in the right to get mad, but now it's like kind of blowing back in my face in the sense that we've resolved it, but now it's like, okay, do you hate me for that? Are you going to like leave, or like everything is just off, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. And on top of that, it sucks even more because the things are so small. Like the way my friend, would say things to me, or the affect that they give off, like for questions I'm asking them, or just statements they give, the small things I was just talking about. Those are things that they probably aren't thinking about in the slightest bit. They are trying to convey some deeper like emotion through their affect. They're not thinking about it as much as I am thinking about it. It's probably just in that moment, and then it's done. It's over with. They're not thinking about it anymore. Whereas, like, it's Wednesday, bitch. I'm still thinking about the small thing on Monday in terms of, like, how they responded to me, like, not parking somewhere, which is, like, so small. You know what I'm saying? It's days later, and I'm still, like, sitting here thinking about, like, wow, do they hate me? And it's such an intense feeling that it's very uncomfortable. I feel, at first I felt angry and I felt annoyed, as I was saying, and I wanted to like start a fight or start an argument. I'm preparing for this person to leave, and that makes me kind of angry and sad, and sort of those like harder feelings. At the same time, I feel sad because I don't want them to go, and if they leave, it's because, or if they're mad at me, or if they have any ill feelings towards me, it's because it's me, and I can't help that. It's like it's just who I am, and we have lots of problems, and it just makes me sad. So while they were at lunch with my other friend, probably enjoying themselves, having a great old time, I was just sitting here well, one with my dog, taking him on a walk and playing with him, but I was sitting here also thinking like, wow, I wonder what they're thinking about me, or why they're mad at me. Trying to think about, I for whatever reason I put myself in the center of attention. I don't know who's this self-centered. I guess I am. As though like they're ruminating about me as well, about like all the things they hate about me. Um, and then for whatever reason, I became super paranoid that my two friends who were at lunch were then talking about me together. I think that's another big thing that's come up. It's like, okay, now that I'm gone, they've been waiting for me to leave. They can talk about how like batshit crazy I'm in, and then that makes me angry and annoyed, and like it just fuels everything. Cause it's like, okay, not only are you mad at me and thinking about all these things, and you're not telling me why you're mad at me or annoyed at me, now you're talking shit behind my back with other people. It's just full on paranoia, full on crazy, and it's hard. Mostly because yes, I know all of this, not all of this, but I know the majority of times that it's all in my head, which is why I've been able to like move past it, or I've been able to feel comfortable with asking them, "Hey, is something wrong?" And when I say asking them, I mean anyone this has happened to. In therapy, I've worked hard on trusting like other people to answer truthfully, and trusting other people to bring things up. And for the most part, since high school, it's worked. I haven't had any like weird, strange attachments slash like feelings in this way until like my last relationship, and then until now. And I don't want to have those feelings because number one, they're hell uncomfortable, as you can imagine. Number two, I genuinely know that like they're crazy sometimes, and people can only take so much. Like literally, I'm tired of talking about how I feel all the goddamn time and being angry all the time, and it's like we're dating and we're not dating. So it's like, what the hell? I'm always upset. I'm always angry. I'm always nitpicking something this person is doing, regardless if it's founded or not. I don't want to be that person. I don't want people to walk on eggshells around me. I don't want people to think like, oh, Julius is gonna feel some type of way about this. Let me not like. I don't. I mean, I do want them to think that like, think about me before you do it, because like, bitch, I will act crazy. But I don't want people to have like a hesitancy about me, if that makes sense. Like in my head, when I left lunch, they were thinking, my friends were thinking like, oh, thank God, because he was, ugh. I don't want people to have that, which is why I left. I didn't really know how to act or how to not show those emotions. And because I had already been so emotional lately, I didn't know what else to do. So I gladly had I was kind of sucked in the sense that like I have to do this, but that was my coping mechanism to preserve the fragile relationship that exists, because it's so. There you go. Hopefully this kind of explains what I was trying to get across to y'all. It sucks that like this was Monday. I'm still thinking about what happened Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, going into Thursday now, there have been other things that have come up that have also made me feel some type of way, and it's just become this big, gigantic snowball of feelings that this person has some ill feelings towards me, or like this person doesn't feel the same way they used to, or this person's annoyed with me, and it's just gotten to the point of extreme self-loathing, and I just feel they legit think that I'm like a crazy person to be around, and they don't want to be my friend anymore. That's what sucks about it, because I don't know what to do. These feelings are actually how I feel, and as I said, I literally can't keep bringing things up to this person, or I can't keep asking, is there something wrong, because you said this, blah, 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 because that's annoying as fuck, and who wants someone like that around all the time? Not to mention that this person quite literally, I forgot what we were talking about, but they used the phrase like, oh, I said that so that we wouldn't get into an argument. And that right there signaled to me that like, okay, they're tired of arguing, granted, like, it makes sense. I'm tired of arguing about like stupid things and getting into fights. We're both tired of this, but that doesn't stop me from still feeling certain types of ways. So if I can't bring it up or argue, or that's not necessarily argue, call it to attention, they're both annoying. If I can't do that, then what's the solution? Because me sitting in these feelings is not going to work for me. So in short, I don't know a lot of things. I'm constantly questioning my own sanity, constantly questioning the truth and what's valid and what's not, what's reality and what's the symptoms and the paranoia that's all going on in my head. So you can see why a bitch is exhausted, right? Literally emotionally taxed. And the only thing I know to do is to just kind of take a step back and like not cease contact with this person, but like I can't talk to this person as much as I used to, or at least in the ways that I used to, because I don't know how to protect my mental health.